Good evening yet again. Thank you so much. This is what it's all about. This is raw and real. This is not edited funny stuff and whatever. Let's take this out and do this later on. This is what Life Worldwide's all about. Here he is to my right, Tony Zikas, our special guest. You're going to hear from him. I can't wait to share this human. He's incredible. First of all, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for making the time. And just thank you for being part of our community. And thank you for subscribing, for sharing, for talking about us. Even if you're hating us, it doesn't matter. We love it. That's no problem. It fuels our motivation. And you know what? We're so pumped and we just can't thank you enough. But before I go into this sort of stuff, when we talk about, Life Worldwide and being an incredible human, let me share this story. I've got a story for everything. Let me share this story with you. Peter Try, I know you're watching, brother. Thank you so much for what you did with us. It was an incredible interview. But it was our fault and we take full responsibility. APR, we froze. There was technical issues. There was all this sort of stuff happened, unfortunately, because we just failed to understand something about our internet where we were. We've accepted that. But when I talk about incredible humans, Peter Parthamos from Futsal Oz. Peter Parthamos has been a friend of mine since the childhood kids. He reached out to me. He sent me a message and said, Harry, we've got a full-blown studio here at Futsal Oz. We do all our live streaming. We're doing all this stuff that we do. And he's incredible. He reached out to me and said, Harry, mate, it's all yours. Please come to the studio. We want you to be part of it. We want the help. You help us. We want to help you. Giving is receiving. So, Peter, if I couldn't shout you out, mate, who could I? And, if you haven't played futsal, do yourself a favour and jump on board. And I'll share this story with you that Arnold, that we work with for many years, has only ever visited one sport outside the sports festival to do, and that's futsal. Futsal Oz. He went there because he played it as a kid. So there you go, Futsal Oz. I can't even tell you how much I love it. So next thing, our website. Can you believe our website is finally on? Hair and makeup's done, as you can see. Our website is live. What are you laughing at it? Our website's live. It's incredible. Please go on there, explore the options, have a look at it, give us your feedback. Caroline, thank you so much for everything you've done. Caroline's behind the scenes. You can't see her, but you will. We've put this website together for the community, for what we believe in. It's got our experts in there, our people that are supporting us, etc., etc. So thank you so much. Now, of course, raw and real, the man of the moment, Tony Zikas. And I always say this, I will never interview someone that I don't believe in, the product, the human, and more importantly, the giving attitude. When I met Tony, for me, lots of things resonated, but some of the stuff where he went deep to ensure that he can put people back together again, that's what hit me. And I can tell you this, I've referred several people to you, Tony.
Yes, Chef.
And I've had nothing but glowing reports. I've had a grown human who's my age, I'm not going to say what it is, in tears, and saying to me that not only did you save talk about his money and his financial, but you saved his life because you put him back together again. And when you hear that, that's what's incredible, Tony. So how could I not have you here? But of course, the community want to know, who's Tony? So over to you, mate.
Tony?
Tony Zikas.
That's a very good question, Harry. Where do I start? Look, to be honest with you, typical upbringing from a migrant family. Mum and Dad came over here, I guess, in the 60s. English wasn't a first language. It was actually probably not even a second or third language. It was that poor. So from a very young age, I learned to be, I guess, the speaker for the family. Learned how to fill out forms, do things, whether it be fill out Medicare forms, school forms, all of that kind of stuff. So it led me from an early time in my life to be very independent.
Yep.
From there, from a very young age, probably from the age of 12, I've always worked, whether it be from washing cars to doing one of the toughest jobs in my opinion, which is telemarketing. So if you can imagine when I was 18, I had to pick up the phone and ring people up and say, hi, would you like to donate to the Kidney Foundation?
Fantastic.
So let's just say that was a very good experience because it allowed me to grow thick skin.
Tony, can I get you to move your mouse or move your keyboard?
Yeah,
sure.
Just move your keyboard, mate.
Move my keyboard.
Move your keyboard. Let me tell you this, Tony's got gadgets coming out of everywhere. I've never seen anything
like
it.
I'll keep it. I'll make sure it doesn't freeze up. Boys, thank you.
You've driven me insane with this stuff. Anyway, I just got paper. Look, paper. This bloke's got gadgets everywhere.
It's working. No, it's not working.
It'll work.
It'll be up. It's okay.
All good.
We're all good. So where was I? So look, to be very honest with you, even though I do work in the finance world, believe it or not, I studied at a tertiary level science. So I went to La Trobe University And it was a very interesting experience, a very interesting 4 years there, because I was very much involved in the union at the school,
Ah.
even organising activities, and I found I had a better skill than being, working in a lab. As much as I enjoy and I love science, is working with people, organising, all that kind of stuff. So from there, I got approached by, believe it or not, a couple of music bands, because we were doing a lot of bookings at the time at the university.
So that's where all this rock and roll music.
Absolutely. So for quite a while, I was managing rock bands in Australia, the pub scene, travelling up. Best experience.
Magnificent.
Doing it tough, sleeping in cars,
Yeah.
travelling from one country town to another, organising gigs, dealing with people, dealing with things that go wrong, things that go right,
Yes.
and just having to put out fires.
Yeah. You loved it?
It's like life.
Yeah.
It's about putting out fires, and it's about enjoying the good times and enjoying the bad times.
100%. You learn from the bad times, mate.
Absolutely.
They're lessons. We learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So from there, at some point, I had to grow up in the financial terms of growing up.
Yep.
But what am I going to do for a living? I got approached by AMP to be a financial advisor.
Oh, yeah.
Back, I think it was 98, 99.
98, 99, yeah, okay. That's the
So-
Y2K bug. Everything was going to blow up on it.
It was.
Anyway.
It did, didn't it?
Oh, I don't know. Still going, mate.
You're still here?
Still
Okay,
going.
good. I think we're
Anyway,
still here.
Yeah. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at you, Harry.
love
I'm
it.
laughing at you. I love
So
you.
go 98, 99. You're
So I
doing
spent quite
super.
a few years as a financial advisor. And what I found there is speaking to people about their super, managed funds, investments. One of the big issues and one of the big things they kept bringing up to me, after discussing all of those topics with them, they'd pull me aside and say, "That's great. I appreciate you telling me all of that, but can you answer me one thing? How do I pay off my house?
Yeah.
How do I own my house? I just don't want a mortgage."
Yep.
So it got me looking into more and more about lending.
Yep.
And learning about mortgages. So in 99, 2000, I made the big move of leaving AMP and not being a financial advisor. Before, mortgage broking was a cool thing to be.
Yes.
And basically started from absolute zero.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, we survived on my wife's part-time hairdressing income. And I still have some of the bills, electrical bills, where we'd get the red notices, we will be turning off your power. And I tell you, you learn a lot when you've got to go through 6 to 9 months of no money coming in, because when you work in an industry that depends on yourself and what you can produce, it's in that commission-based. There's no wage, come Friday, there's a lot of people, and for them it works. Come Friday, whether they've produced or not produced, they will still receive their paycheck for a period.
Security. Yeah.
When your whole life is based on being self-employed and commission-based, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about yourself and about how to run a business.
That's a lot of courage, mate, and I admire that, because not a lot of people would give up the security to go out there. So,
And look, it's been one of the best moves I've ever made, because I've met thousands of people, been able to help lots of people, been able to achieve that dream of home ownership, having a roof over their head, having somewhere to raise their children, a place to call home, as everybody would say. But you know what? I've been doing that for a long time, and I tell you, there's been a disturbing pattern that I'm seeing, because in the early days, it was all about people creating wealth. Okay, how do I buy my next property? Let me build equity. Let me get ahead. Let me save. Let me do this. I want to start this business. And what I've seen in the last half a dozen to 3 years, it's more about how do I pay off bad debt? How do I consolidate?
Yes.
Because unfortunately, as a society, we've become addicted to credit.
Yes.
And it's not good credit.
No.
It's what I call bad credit.
Yep. Well,
So that's
well, you're sneaking
pretty
into
No.
secrets. No secrets yet.
no secrets yet,
It's
Harry.
like you got to wait to the end of the thing to get the whole. But you know what, Tony? You said something, and I just want to ask you this question. You said, and you keep saying it, and I haven't asked you this. What you keep saying home, and people say house. What's the difference?
Home versus house, that's a really good one.
Because you always say home.
I do say home. I believe that the most important thing someone can strive towards is having a home. I say to somebody, when they come to see me and say, listen, I want to buy a property, I want to buy my first home, and I say to them, are you sure it's going to be your home or it's a house? And they look at me puzzled and say, what's the difference? I say, well, the house is the show-off piece.
Yeah.
It's the big mansion
Oh,
with
yeah.
the fancy car.
The lions at
From
the
the
front.
outside, it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
People are impressed. People may even be envious. But when you're walking through that door, that's when
Yeah.
the arguments go. That's where, how are we going to make ends meet this week? How are we going to pay our bills?
Yep.
It's a leading cause of mental stress. It's a
100%.
leading cause of,
Yep.
in my opinion, divorce
Yes.
these days. Overcommitment.
Yep.
So I say to people, make sure that you can go with what's affordable. Because if
Yeah.
you can afford the roof over your head, then it's not a house, it's a home. It's where when you go in through that door
that's
and close it behind you,
That's brilliant.
it's your place of solitude.
Yep.
It's your happiness point.
Yep. Yep. I love that. That's fantastic. Well, we've got Tony, we've got the house, we've got the home, right? And just for the record, Tony's a very structured individual. He wanted all the questions up front, he wanted everything. What he doesn't know, we've got a whole heap of stuff here. And you know what? I did warn you,
Is the door locked?
the door's locked, mate. We've got a guard,
Okay.
armed guard, and I warned you to bring the mouth guard, but
I've bought my weapon.
I
It's
know you have. I know you have. And he's made this board and mate.
No, sorry.
Oh,
I have to give one
sorry.
shout out.
Give the shout out.
Anthony, if you're there and you're listening,
Yes.
the best neighbour in the country, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
The
Yes,
man is
yeah,
a legend.
That's right.
When I told him, I didn't
Yeah.
know whether we had
That's right.
any kind of technology or pops.
Yes, yes.
I said, listen, I don't want to talk for an hour. I want to be able to show people something visual.
Brilliant.
So we sat down,
And he delivered.
and you'll see what he
We'll see that.
was able to build
you-
in a very short time.
So we've got Tony, but we've got AMM,
Yes,
Australian Money Mentors,
yes,
correct?
correct.
That's your organisation. Who, why, what is it? Who are they?
All right. So look, as I said to you, for a very long time, I worked just as a mortgage broker.
Yep.
Which is what I call these days just transactional. You come to me, you say, I want to buy property X. We'll work out what the banks use as the terminology, your serviceability,
Yes.
how much deposit you've got, so forth. Put the numbers into a computer program, and it spits out a yes or a no. So for a long time, it was about, hey, we're getting someone into debt. Then I started looking at, is it the right debt?
Yeah.
Do they really understand what they're doing? Do they really understand why it's the right time in their life to be taking on this debt?
Yeah.
Have they planned short, medium, and long term? How is it going to affect starting a family? How is it going to affect if you're currently employed and your plan is within the first 10 years you'd like to go out on your own and start your own business? Will having this weight of this debt, or what I call being a debt slave, stop you from realizing those dreams, because you need to have that constant income coming in,
Yep.
and you can't take that risk. So it's it was very, very important to look into that. And I tell you what I found was the gap in society, the biggest gap, in my opinion, in society, was the lack of financial literacy. It was absolutely
Yeah.
overwhelming for
That's
me to see.
huge.
Once
That's
we
huge.
started having more of a conversation with people and finding out, what do you actually understand? People would come to us after being to the bank and saying, hey, I've been to my bank, they've said I can borrow X. And I'd ask them, so how do you know you can do that in the real world? Oh, the bank manager said I could. I've got an approval. I said, okay, but how do you know you can afford it?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've never had a loan before. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm assuming because, my trusted bank manager, not that there's any problem with bank managers or brokers or anything like that,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, there was no real understanding.
Yeah.
Understanding of good debt, bad debt, affordability, if you're self-employed, running a business, and more importantly, knowing what's coming in, what's going out. So financial literacy is the key. It is the one thing that is lacking in this country.
Yep.
It is the one thing that
I agree.
is not
100%.
taught in our schools. And to be
100%.
honest with you, I can explain it, but there's a video that I'd like to play for
I
everyone.
can't wait. That was incredible.
That speaks volumes.
That was incredible. And you know what happened? You sent it to me and you said, please watch it. And since then, I've noticed that a lot of people have been sharing it around. So we should go to the video. And if you haven't seen this video, do yourself a
It
favour.
speaks volumes.
That's
and
brilliant. No, I
it
love it.
summarises it in the best way.
Yep. Can we go to the video?
We can go to the video. For the guys on Instagram, you won't be able to see the video, but you will be able to see it. If you remember, you'll get
What is school for? Feel free to call me slow, but I spent 16 years going to school, and I still don't know. When I finished, I didn't know how to do my own taxes, purchase a home, or apply for a loan. I didn't know a thing about investments, building credit, or getting a job. I graduated at the top of my class, and what did I have? This fancy diploma to sit at home with my mom. But luckily, they did teach me some important skills like factoring trinomials and how mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. I'm so happy I remember the Pythagorean theorem, because it helped me a lot. Okay, I'm lying. Let me stop. Because all the stuff they taught me, truthfully, I forgot. Mom, remember when you would ask me, what did you learn in school today? And I would say, nothing much. I wasn't being modest. The truth about it, Mom, is I had already forgotten. And it's not just me. Millions of students sing the same song. How many of you guys avoid eye contact with the teacher to try not to get caught upon? Afraid to raise your hand for fear of being wrong, which proves that school isn't an environment for learning or building up the intellect. It's just a game you play for grades and how many A's you can collect. But I guess what do you expect when the most commonly asked question in class is this gonna be on the test? Is this gonna be on the test? See, if school put learning instead of testing and memorizing as the top standard, then the letter F would not stand for failure. It would stand for find another answer. And if school was really interested...
Harry, remember it?
How can I forget it? I mean, I think, you know, Tony, it resonates in so many ways for me.
Absolutely.
We didn't learn that. We didn't...
Life skills. It's not taught in at schools. It's not here. This is not about bagging our education system.
No.
But, you know, I look at the young people, even the young guns that you're going to be teaching, and you ask them, what do they learn in school? Okay, they'll do their geography, they'll do their English, they'll do their core subjects.
Yep.
But the problem I have is, as soon as someone turns 18, all of a sudden it's like, whether it's a banquet, would you like a credit card? How about a car loan? You got a heartbeat? We'll give you afterpay. You can't afford it? That's okay. Buy it now, pay later.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, instead of people, when they're in their 20s ready to buy a house, they're coming to us and saying, hey, I've got my afterpay, I've got my personal loan, I've got my fancy car loan,
Yeah.
and I can't even pay my rent. What am
Yeah.
I going to do? It's because they weren't taught that when you turn 18 and you're an adult, there are going to be institutions that will come to you and say, hey, debt, take it on. You're ready,
Yeah.
you're an adult,
Yep.
you've got a job.
Yep.
Get a car. You
Yep.
don't have savings, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
We'll give it to you now. I mean, I don't want to name a particular store, but everyone's going to know it.
Yep.
One of the biggest furniture store chains and appliance chains in our country. And this is not an indictment on, for example,
Doesn't matter.
Harvey Norman, but
Whoever.
if you look at how they, in the last 5 to 10 years, when was the last time you saw them advertise an actual product? It's more about the finance.
Yep. Yep.
It's more about buy now, pay later.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the society we've become,
Yeah.
living off credit.
Yeah. Is it what we're living in a fast-paced world, though, aren't we? And everybody wants everything now, but they don't realise that speed kills. But also, they're not sure. The kids don't want to miss out, Tony. This is the stuff I'm getting, the feedback I'm getting. Absolutely. They want the fancy cars, the watches, the work done, whatever it may be. This is real. I don't sugarcoat the conversation. Whether they want tats all over themselves, 15, 20 grand on tats. You know, doing all this stuff, putting on an afterpay or whatever the case may be. And then later on, and the other thing that gets me going big time, is you can't sit at home at night or whatever. Let's say you're watching TV, which rarely I do, but there's always those betting ads. Bet here, bet on this, bet on that, bet. Well,
Look, that's another side of it.
but people are click, and they don't realise they're ruining their credit. They're ruining everything.
I don't know if they're...
Well, how are they going to pay it back?
So much ruining their credit. They're putting themselves in a position where they've got to either consolidate or get rid of that bad debt first, and then while you're trying to pay off a car loan, while you're paying rent, while you're paying off a credit card, how are people going to save up to purchase a first property? You know, I'll tell you something very interesting. If you had asked me 10 years ago, how are people buying properties, they'd have their savings. There's an alarming trend I'm finding at the moment, the amount of parents having to provide a parental guarantee for their kids to buy a first property. That's not a bad thing, because the way the prices of property have gone now, it's very hard to save a deposit.
Well, they are going down, but anyway.
It would have been maybe 1 in 10 loans or transaction would have required a parental assistance. Now, if I told you first-time buyers are getting between 60 to 70% assistance from a parent in the way of them providing an additional security
Yeah.
just to be able to cover a deposit.
Major.
It is major because it means that they're not saving,
Well,
that they're going week to week, paycheck to paycheck.
Okay. Well, it's interesting you say that because, and I'm no financial guru by far, and the people watching it will have a laugh because, of course, I'm not, right? But they always say, numbers, humans lie, numbers don't.
Absolutely.
Okay. So before we go to the board, don't get excited. I saw you touching the magnets.
No, matey.
This thing. So the treasurer came out. I'm going to say 3 weeks ago. I don't know, whatever. And I know you're not the finance, whatever. I just want to ask you this question. There's an announcement about a recession, right?
Yes.
Recession.
We're in a technical
But
recession.
we're in technical. No one's talking about it. No one's acting like we're in recession. Everyone's saying it's July 1, so all the accountants are having a massive party today as they do, end of year thing, whatever, financial thing. That's why we did it today. You know that. It was your call, Caroline. It was fantastic. But there's been no further conversation, no panic. Doesn't feel like anything's happening with this recession. You would have thought people would go, sure, well, something's going on, or...
Look, Harry, it's probably more an accountant question that you're asking.
I'm just
But
generalising.
in my opinion, there's a bit of a Band-Aid solution going on at the moment. I think we've put a Band-Aid on a cut that needs stitches.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
and at some point, that Band-Aid's going to wear off.
It's going to, okay.
Now, whether that Band-Aid, you want to summarise it as people have been able to, because I don't want to use the word freeze, defer their loan payments.
Yeah,
Because
that's a good one.
there's a big misconception that people have been able to freeze their loans. No one's been able to freeze their loans. All they've done is defer the payments, and those payments will be added on to the balance and will extend the debt and the term.
How many people don't know that?
I couldn't tell you how many, but
I reckon it'd be frightening.
a lot of people called me up and said, "How good's this?
How
I
good's
want
this,
to
yeah.
freeze my loan. I'm going to get
Magnificent,
I'm going
yeah.
to get a holiday." And the minute I told them, "No,
Yeah.
your payments will increase. Your term will potentially increase." Straight away it was the back of, "Oh no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to have the mortgage for a longer period."
Nah, well, mate,
Right. Then you add to that JobKeeper.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the moment, between JobKeeper and being able to defer loans, the pain isn't really being felt.
Yeah.
So the question, I guess, I ask myself, so that I can see where I'm personally going, where I may be able to give some information to people, is what's going to happen when JobKeeper eventually stops
Yes.
and loans
Yes.
have to be paid again, and people aren't going to be able to go, "Oh well, let me just walk back into my job."
No worries.
A lot of businesses
Yeah.
have realised that, wow, there's a lot of technology. They've been forced
100%.
to embrace technology.
Correct.
They've been forced to say, "Hey, we don't need that amount of office space
Yeah.
anymore. We can have people working from home. We can Zoom. How big's Zoom become?
Enormous.
People don't need to leave their beds and run
No.
a meeting these days." So the question comes down to, if unemployment goes to where they're predicting, and tourism becomes stagnant, especially international tourism,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and hospitality continues to go down as it goes, depending on how many waves.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Let's not talk about Corona, but let's talk about lockdown. Let's use the
Yeah,
terminology lockdown.
Yep.
We're a closed business. We've had now in the last, well, no, not yet. As of tonight, there are going to be businesses in a 10 suburb radius that are going to have to go back from having 20 people in their cafes and restaurants
Yep.
to takeaway again.
Yeah.
That means full lockdown for them.
Yep.
That means just when they had a bit of light at the end of the tunnel,
Yep.
they're back to despair.
They're back to, yeah.
And can I tell you, my biggest thing I've realised during this period of lockdown or coronavirus, it's the phone calls of people desperate.
Yeah.
Absolutely desperate. And from the very, very start.
Yeah.
Not a month into it when money might have started running out. From the minute we saw people lining up for unemployment within days of the lockdown.
Not even
Within
days. Straight away, yeah. Yeah.
Queued up.
They couldn't, they
So
couldn't
is,
keep up.
so is it really a lockdown / coronavirus issue? Or
No, it's,
is it a more deep-rooted
yeah.
financial, economic
Well, this
issue?
is, yeah, and you know what happens, Tony? And I know we want to get into this, but I think this is important. And I'll tell you why I share this stuff. And again, I'll keep plugging it. It's raw and real. It's real. I'm not going to fudge the conversation, right? So many people that I meet, some of them pick on the rich. You know, some of them just, they've got this, they did it to us. They. Who's they, right? Who's this they? They said this. Well, who said it, right? And I wanted to ask you, and I was like, is it true that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? You hear it all the time as a quote, or then I'm hearing it from people blaming everyone. Oh, they did it.
Well, it's interesting you use the word blame game because there's a big, I think, flaw in humans, and that is the blame.
Yeah.
To be able to blame.
It's easy.
And what's lacking is something that we all know: absolute personal responsibility.
100%. APR.
Where is the personal responsibility for the situation people are in? Like you said, there's a few people you've got me to go see,
Yes.
and I see this
Absolutely.
on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I'll go out and see somebody, and I ask them about who's on your team, because at the end of the day, it's about building the people that are successful.
Yep.
Always build good teams
100%.
around them, whether it be their finance person,
Yeah.
the
Yep.
accountant, the financial advisor,
Absolutely.
the business coach, the motivator,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. You've got to have that team on the field, but they've got to be communicating.
Yes.
But you know what always happens? I'll sit down with someone and they'll say to me, I don't know why I'm eating into my overdraft, or I don't have any savings, or my credit card's maxed out. I mean, how can you not know? I said, all right, what are you making? And I asked the word, what are you making, rather
Yeah.
than what's your profit,
Yes.
because they are quick to always quote what they're turning over.
Oh, what do I say?
That top number.
What do I
I've
say?
heard you say it.
Revenue is for your ego. Profit feeds your family. Make no mistake of that.
But it's not just that.
But
people will always
Yeah.
look at, and they will always go what they make. If you ask somebody, because it's what they know, it's what they see coming in. But at the end of the day,
What's going out? What's not coming in? What's
What?
real?
is left at the end after covering
Yeah.
expenses. So when I say to them, what's your growth year on year? I mean, what's your plan? What's your forecast? How are you growing? When is when is the critical point for when you're going to bring on a new staff member? And they look at me like I've got two heads. You know what always the answer is? I've got to ask my accountant for that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell do you mean you've got to ask your accountant?
I learned
this
that,
is
Tony.
your business.
I learned that because we were running out of money in my business, and we were growing too quick. So we had a good problem. We were growing too quick, and I couldn't understand how we're running out of money. Well, do the sums. You're paying people X amount, wages, and then you're not getting paid for X and this and that. People don't want to know. It's too hard, to heads in the sand, and
There's a little bit of a difference, but that's a good problem. It's a growth
no,
problem.
I understand, but
we're talking about people that run businesses that are in, like I said, potentially bad debt. Or
Yes.
they're not going ahead. Their business is not able to sustain itself. It's heading towards...
maybe they shouldn't be in business.
Maybe it's heading towards failure. But at the end of the day, stop blaming. For all the accountants out there, I do feel for them.
Yeah.
Because they are the first target. As soon as something goes wrong, my accountant didn't tell me.
Yeah.
I asked my accountant how the business is going. He said it's doing great.
I call accountants security guards. They need to be security guards, mate. Yeah, they need to protect. They should be telling them. You can't just say, oh, I didn't know.
They're too easy a target.
But sometimes I think the accountants let it go. They just move on.
Look, there's good and bad in every.
No, I don't mean
there's
like,
good
what
and
I'm
bad in
saying,
every industry.
some of them are not willing to throw the punches. They do, move on. You've got to be raw and real. You've got to be real. You've got to be ruthless. You don't sugarcoat what you tell these people.
Absolutely
They've
not.
come
But
back and
you're
said to
saying-
me,
But is it the accountant's responsibility to ask the right questions? When you sit down with the accountant, it's got to be interactive. You can't expect your accountant.
no, I understand. What I'm saying more, I think what I'm getting at is that if they're not making money, surely the accountant should know that.
Yes.
And if they don't, then they're just, it's just a transaction. Oh, it's tax time, whatever. Do your tax thing, whatever. See you later. Or come in, do your book, get out.
Like I said, there's good and there's bad.
Okay, well, that's it.
Accountants. There are but most accountants aren't good. Most accountants will sit down and have these conversations. The problem is, what a lot of businesses do, they say get caught up in working in their business rather than on their business. They will just leave it. Hey, my accountant does that bit.
Yeah.
He does my GST, he does my BAS, he does my
I get
payroll. I'll wait till I see him once a year and see how I've gone.
Yeah.
But month to month,
Yep.
week to week,
Yeah.
job to job,
They don't.
who's watching it?
No. Yeah.
It's not your accountant's job to be watching that.
Yeah.
It's not your accountant's job to pick up the phone and say, hey, I've noticed
Yep.
this particular job you just quoted and you finished and you paid out everybody. The profit margin that you were expecting wasn't there.
Well, I think great accountants should go on a journey with their client. That's my opinion. When I
The
had
whole team needs to go on
Of
the
course,
journey.
that's what I'm saying. All the accountants, the team, whatever you want to bloody call them, they're going to go on a journey. They're going to hold their hand from start to finish. Bring the wife in. How are you feeling? Do you still see it that way? What's the future plan? Your kids, have they got savings? All this sort of stuff. I think it's very important.
Know your client.
Know
Is
your
what
client.
you're talking about.
I've got nits, mate. All right, done. So, I found out it. Now, I'll ask you one more because I know you're itching to get out.
No.
And one of the other things, you know, I read the Financial Review religiously. But my wife laughs at me. She says, "What are you reading?" I said,
I'll
"Don't
try and
worry."
believe you, but go.
I do. I actually do. She'll vouch for this one. And I highlight things and whatever. And there's been this huge trend. I'm going to call it from last year to now, unfortunately, of Australian businesses failing. And there's not a day that goes by that somebody asks me a question. The other day, there's the bras and I can't remember the Sea Folly. They're the ones.
Yep.
They gone. This is gone. That gone. What do you think? What's your
Look?
This is just your.
It's a difficult question because
Yeah.
we're in difficult times. We've been through a banking royal commission where the banks tightened up and weren't lending money when people needed, you know, cash flow funding to be able to grow their businesses.
Yes.
We came out of that. We had an election. We had a few good months of basically being back out in the sun, and then we've had the COVID effect.
Yes.
Okay. And again, what's that's done? It's exposed businesses that were vulnerable.
Keyword.
Right? It's exposed businesses that weren't ready, weren't prepared. And it's not just businesses. You can take it to the point where when I'll go out and someone says to me, "Can you come and give me a financial health check?"
Yeah, 100%.
And they think I'm coming out to look at their business. No, I'm not going to look at you. I'm going to start with you, the individual.
Yeah.
Start with what's in your four walls. Because if you're not got accountability and no idea about what you're doing in your home, between yourself and your partner and your kids and your home, how are you going to run a business if you can't run your house?
Yep. Brilliant. Well, I said that, didn't I? Head of household. Remember that? Remember that video? I love that one.
Absolutely.
It is. No, I think you've answered that well. I'm going to give you one more before we go into this.
No.
And I'm not going to touch it because you went spastic about me touching the whiteboard. Actually, he went bananas. I shouldn't say that word. I apologise. He went bananas about that. And, you know, there's a famous, I'm not going to quote the person that said it, but they say, you know, if you're born poor, it's not your fault. But if you die poor, it is your fault. What's your view on that? So, born poor, not your fault.
Listen.
Die poor, your fault. But you're dead, right? But we're not going to talk about that. Don't get it. Don't talk about that.
We're going to get philosophical here. There's a lot of good people that could have not died poor, but gave it their best effort.
Yes.
It's all about best effort. I mean, at the end of the day, even some of the best business people may die poor.
Yeah.
And some of the people that aren't the business people may fluke on a great venture or, you know, trip over a great investment and make money. So I don't think it comes down to it's somebody's fault in particular. Yeah. Because, like I said, if you've got good plans and you're willing to work hard, at the end of the day, willing to work hard, do the hard yards.
Yes.
You've got to be able to do the hard yards, whether it be in food. People think, if I use chefs as an example, and they see all these, you know, celebrity chefs, how glamorous, how good is that? Do they really know what it's like to work to 2 a.m, cooking food for people, having people send it back? It is a tiresome job.
They're going to know, because we've got Johnny from Grady. When is it? 15th of July. Johnny from Grady will tell you some stories about when he burnt his hand and put the bloody sauce on there and all this. Don't worry, I'm going to wreck the thing, but I'm telling you, you're right in what you just said.
At least it wasn't butter. But that's the old European thing. Put butter on burns and turn it into third-degree burns.
Yeah. Very well answered. I think very well answered.
You just can't. Look, I'm one of those that I can't say it's somebody's fault. How they end up in their circumstances. There's an old saying I use: "You're never a loser until you quit trying."
100%. Brilliant. Well, that's, you know what, and it leads us into.
Put it another way.
Yeah.
A lot of people get bogged down with what's gone wrong, rather than worry about what can we change.
What can go right.
And I'll always sit down, even with my son, I'll say to him, when we read a book, a book is made of pages, it's made of chapters.
Yes.
And you know what? There's going to be good chapters and bad chapters.
Yes.
But once you've turned that page, once you've finished it, you've turned it, you're starting a new page.
Yep.
Don't worry about what went wrong. Don't worry about who wronged you. Don't worry about who wasn't there for you when you were there for them.
Mate. KMF, that's called. You know KMF?
No, I don't.
Keep moving forward.
Right? Because I'll tell you something that's very important. You can't read a book backwards.
You can't.
You can't.
No, you can't.
So there's no point in, sitting down with saying, "Oh, it's not my fault. My previous accountant or my my ex-business partner did this wrong. And I said to him, why are you telling me this?
Carry that a stick.
Why are we turning the pages backwards? So you can
Forget
tell
it.
that?
Forget it.
What are you doing
Forget
to
it.
change it?
You can't carry that stuff around. It bogs you down. It puts you down.
But I'm sorry to tell you,
That's what
the
happens.
majority do.
Of course
the
they do.
majority
Of
will
course
sit
they do.
there and it's how it's.
It's easy.
This is what's happened to me. I'll sit there with someone and I'll say, okay, what's your situation? And the first thing is the defense mode kicks in.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to embarrass myself here. So how do I show
Exactly.
Tony? Well, I'm not in the best financial position,
But
but this is why it's
yeah,
happened.
he, she, him, it, that.
Why? And I'll turn around and say, I appreciate you telling me the story. Now tell me why you told me the
Yeah,
story,
yeah.
and tell me how it's going to help us moving forward.
Yes.
So
Brilliant.
don't ever bring it up
Brilliant.
again.
Yeah, that's
Let's
brilliant.
not bring it up. Have you learned from it?
Yeah. Well,
Have you cut
that's-
away? If you're telling me that your ex-partner was the reason you had a bad, well, let's call that person the cancer. Have you cut out the cancer?
Yeah.
Have you stitched it up?
Yep.
Well, it's gone.
Yep. You know, a lot of people say, and this is important. So this whole episode, this conversation with you today is about money. Is about financial freedom. Okay? Because money is freedom. Okay?
Is it?
Well,
You know what money is?
here we go.
There you go. This is my first prop.
Yep.
You know what this is, Harry?
What is it?
Paper.
Okay, paper, but
There's too many people chasing paper
yes.
rather than wealth, rather than freedom. It is not about your bank balance. Your bank balance doesn't make you rich and it doesn't make you wealthy.
Yes.
You've got to sometimes spend money to make money.
Of course.
You've got to take the risk to invest, to grow.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, there's going to come a point where you're going to rely on government or your investments to see you out through your twilight years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? If we look at what our savings are earning us these days in accounts, it ain't going to go far. And if you look at what people's returns are on their super, current retirees,
Yes.
imagine the pain they're feeling at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where interest rates are and what their returns are.
Well, you know what? I've heard a great saying, and I've heard a few people say it now, but you know, I use it too. Is money's like your partner, right? And I'll explain my theory. You can belt me if you want, but
I
if
can,
you
but
don't, no, don't do that because you're not going to like it.
I'm not
what
gonna,
I'm saying is this:
I might get one in, but
you want,
then
mate,
I'll be on
no,
the
not
floor.
one. The first
I won't.
one is always going to hurt, so you're not going to get the first one in. But anyway,
Even if it's sneaky?
no, sneakies, don't be cheeky. Listen, money's like your. Not only I say it, I've heard it, and I like to use this analogy, right? And that is, money's like your partner, whether it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you want it to call it, right? If you don't pay attention to it, it's going to go somewhere else. If you know what I'm saying. If you don't look after the money won't look after you.
Can you be a better one?
Oh, you're always going to give me a better one. That's why you're here. But I'm igniting the fire
Count
here.
the cents, the dollars will count themselves.
Well, you want to play this game.
Yeah,
If it
we're gonna
makes
play
sense,
No.
if it makes sense,
Yeah.
it makes dollars.
All right, fair enough.
You with
fair
me?
enough. Let's
So,
let's cut the cliches.
Let's get to the situation here because
Yep.
your neighbour, whatever you want to call it, when you
Anthony.
presented this to me, and I'm going to give it a plug, at the European, this was the turning point for me. So what Tony's going to share here was the turning point for me. Because sometimes people like you, and you're not an accountant, but these financial people, they talk this language like a Martian language. They do this thing, and you're going, you're just nodding because you don't know.
and you don't want to look silly.
Well, not only that, the clock's going dung because you're charging $400 million an hour. So you want to get out of there and you've had enough, right?
Yep.
So you agree to everything. But what you did very different to many other people is you presented this. And this is hand on heart. This is what was the huge turning point for me. And I said, TZ, because I call you TZ now, and I always will, this needs to be shown. We've got to tell the world about this. So I'm pumped that you got the whiteboard. I know we wanted to get a bit more technical and you got drawings and things and blah, blah, blah.
I'm sure the drawings might.
I'm telling you-
I'm hoping the drawings will work as well.
Mate, I've got paper here ready to go,
Andre's saying yes, good.
100%. And I want you to share this because you do it so passionately and elegantly.
Thank you.
But this, please, make notes, take notes. It is recorded. You can play it back, look at it. You're going to hook up Tony anyway for a health check, financial health check, put you up on a bloody hoist to find the leaks, as I always say. But this was the turning point for me, Tony, because you hit some some hard punches here.
Look, at the end of the day, there's no magic pill here. At the end of the day, all this is basically explaining to people what they already know in their head, but basically
Do they?
putting it in a sense where they understand and
Yeah.
and it reinforces what they already know, and it's about showing how to build a good structure. So look,
Let's go to it.
let's go.
Hold on.
Let's go to it.
Yeah, he's here. Hold on. It's for you.
Thank you.
All right, go.
Can I have it?
Come on. Let's go.
All right. Look, at the end of the day, just like in the building game, finances, build a good structure. So when you look at a structure, as you go up, there's our friend risk.
Yeah, good. mate.
Okay. So as you go up your structure, there's increased risk.
Yeah.
So what do? At the top, what do we got? Things like examples, shares, investment properties,
Yeah.
managed funds.
Yes.
Let's start a business.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
That's got to be the biggest thing, isn't it? Sort of.
No, it depends if you're in.
Yeah.
It could be an employed person doesn't have a business.
Okay.
It's a combination of both. But people like to play up here first. And you know what happens when you play up here first and you don't look at this? What's down here? Foundations. When you build a house,
100%.
what is the most important part?
Critical.
It's the foundations.
Absolutely.
So you've got to have good and strong foundations to build up from. So that if something goes wrong here,
Yep.
you only fall to this line. And you've got the foundation to build back up from. So, what's in our foundations, Harry? Give me one thing that you might think won't be good financial foundations.
I'll always say budget.
All right, good. You can read.
Is it?
I'm
Oh,
glad
no,
you
I
read
do.
the book.
Always, you need
Absolutely.
a budget. Yeah.
So, absolutely.
No,
Budget. Now,
not that I'm an
what does that
expert at
mean?
it.
Does that mean that Woolies has got toilet paper cheaper than Coles?
What do you go to toilet paper?
All right. Oil. Is
Oil,
that better?
that's better.
All right. At the end of the day, budget's a very simple thing.
Yeah.
What's coming in versus what's going out.
Yes.
You might be on $100,000 a year, and the person sitting across from us might be on $100,000 a year. Does that mean you can afford the same amount of debt?
No.
Why?
Expenses. The way I live.
What? That's right, lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
And at the end of the day, not everybody. So there are people that are going to have the same income,
Yes.
but different expenses.
Yes.
So
Different
their
lifestyle.
bottom line,
Yeah.
what's left over, their surplus, is going to differ. And for a very long time, people borrowed based on what they made rather than what's left over. And then what
Yeah.
happens?
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah.
What loses? Lifestyle loses.
Yes.
Because once you've committed to your debt,
Yes.
right, and you haven't accounted for the lifestyle that you've had and you want to continue to have, right, you can't go back to the bank and say, please, Mr. Bank,
Yeah.
can I now reduce my payments? I think I spent too much. I think I've borrowed too much.
Yep. They just bash.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't work that way. You've got to go back home and listen, honey, what are we going to do? We're not going out to restaurants anymore.
Yep.
You know, we can't go to the movies. We're going to have Netflix only.
Yep. We're not going on the cruise.
Lifestyle suffers.
Yep. Yes.
The arguments start.
Yes.
When we were first married, we were able to do this, we went here, we went there. And all of a sudden, instead of having a home, the house becomes the anchor around the neck that's sinking them.
It's sad.
that-
It's sad.
And it's very important. And look, in the terms of lending, institutions use what's called serviceability. It's a term, it's a banking term, and it's a calculator where you put in data and it spits out how much you can service on a debt.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's even simpler than that. Total household income minus total household expenses. But you have to be honest with those expenses.
Yes.
If you're going to sit there and say, oh, I only spend $500 a week, BS. BS to yourself and to the person you're talking to.
Yep.
All right? Because unless you are one of the 3% of people that actually will take note of what they're spending, the rest of us have no idea.
Yeah.
Because if I ask somebody what they make, they'll tell me. They know what they make,
Yes.
most people.
Yep.
Okay? Other than maybe the self-employed that need to check with their accountant, as
Yeah.
you said. But if you ask someone, what are you spending week to week on bills and fund money? No idea.
No idea.
None.
No. No, and you know what? I reckon it'll be a huge majority.
It is
Massive.
It is absolutely
Massive.
the majority.
Yep.
And there's no, yes, and you can go to places and they'll do a budget for you. But all that's going to be is a guesstimate.
Yes.
Yeah, we can go back and look at your credit card, you spent this, you spent
Yeah,
that.
you've done this,
but
you've done that.
at the end of the day, until you're able to sit down and say, listen, for a certain period, I'm going to be my own accountability partner. And I'm going to take note of what's coming out.
Yep.
So that when I sit down with my broker, my banker, my advisor, my accountant, whether it be in business or on a personal level, I can say to them, this is what's coming in,
Yep.
this is what's going out, that's what's left over. And with what's left over, we can start putting some goal setting, some strategies in place.
Yep. Habits.
Okay.
You know.
Most people,
These-
they take it on a mortgage. What's the standard term? 30 years.
30 years.
So I'll say to someone, all right, you want to apply, what's the term you want to apply for in life? 30 years, okay. When do you expect to have it paid off? I'm just going to try my hardest to pay. So you don't have a real goal. Is it 10? Do you want to have it for 10 years, 15 years, 18 years? Oh, I'd like it paid off within 10 years. Okay. So what's the number you have to contribute towards that debt to have it paid off in 10 years? I don't know. I just know what on my contract it said this is my minimum repayment. And what ends up happening? We're spenders by nature. Once we make our minimum repayments on our debts, the rest is easy to
It's like a
spend.
disease.
What's easier to do, Harry? Save money or pay off debt?
Save money.
No, it's pay off debt.
Correct.
Because it's a commitment. It is a commitment that you can't balk.
You can't walk it.
If you've got an institution that says, on the 15th of every month, thank you, I want my $1,000, you don't have a choice. When you set yourself a savings plan and say, I'm going to save $1,000 a month, and then, hey, this came up, that came up, this party came up, my mate called me up, we're going on a holiday.
Then you're a gunner. It's not going to work. It's
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So budget.
So
Very
budget.
important. Next. We spoke about it already.
Home. Yeah.
The home. Have a roof over your head.
Yes.
Something goes wrong. Your business fails. You lose your job. You need to start again. At least you've still got, you know what's coming in,
Yes.
and you've got your home.
You've got a
a
roof
roof
over
over your head. Okay?
So you're big on owning your home instead of renting? Have you got
Look,
any?
There's nothing
hear
wrong.
it.
For some people,
Yeah.
renting long term is a investment strategy that they take on, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But I always say to them, have a diversified portfolio, have property in your portfolio, because if something goes wrong with your strategy and you can't afford the rent,
Yes.
and your landlord comes to you and says, sorry mate, my daughter's moving into the property next year, you got to go, and you're sick of it, or you've gone from being the single bloke to having a partner, having a family, decide, you know what, it's time for me to settle down. You've got a home to go, fallback position.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Okay.
a good one. Fallback position. I like that. Oh yeah.
Emergency fund.
Yeah.
Can I tell you,
I call it the
the
fighting
biggest problem that I've seen during this coronavirus situation is the amount of people
fund. Yep.
that have been identified that go
Yep.
week to week, paycheck to paycheck, or are in debt.
That's sad.
It was so dumbfounding to me that people didn't have any amount of liquid savings.
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to ask it to you in a different way, Harry, and I'll ask it to everyone out there listening.
But
If everybody had
yeah.
3 to 6 months worth of savings
Yes.
in their account, would the economic and financial hurt have been as bad during the lockdown?
No chance.
Would people have been wondering how we're going to pay our bills, how we're going to pay our
No.
employees, whether it's money in the bank for your
Yes,
business,
yes.
whether it's money in the bank for you personally?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be on unemployment
No,
line.
you'd be standing
You
ready.
wouldn't have your hand out.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be a slave,
Yeah.
a slave to debt.
Correct.
Emergency fund. It is
That's the fighting fund. That is the.
fighting fund.
You know,
emergency
you
fund.
just.
Too many people, I've seen them, they go to their bank, their broker, even come to myself when I act
Yeah.
as the broker, and I say,
How much do you need?
No, the question is, I ask them, how much do you have saved?
Yeah.
And then my next one is, how much of that do you want to put towards your purchase? And
Yeah.
it just frustrates me when I hear, I'm putting all of it.
All of it. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. So when you move in and the hot water system goes,
Yep.
who's paying for that? Oh, you're going to put it on the credit card.
What do you think's a reasonable number?
There is no reasonable number.
Just, I'm saying.
At the end of the
for
day,
someone
it's-
listening here today
it's
saying.
it's a personal thing. At the end of the day, what's a reasonable number for someone that's earning 30,000
Yeah.
versus someone that's earning 100,000 versus
Yeah,
someone
okay,
that's earning
different, like,
200,000? Because, like we said before, it's what you spend. Can I tell you the amount of people I've met over the years that might be factory workers earning a $30,000, $40,000 a year
Yep.
versus someone that's earning their 200 clicks and they're, driving the
Yeah,
fancy cars.
yep.
Can I tell you, the amount of those people that are in their 30, 40,000 are on their second, third homes,
Correct.
got their super, got their retirement plan
Correct.
ready to go, versus the guy on 200,000 that don't have 2 cents to rub together.
Ego. That's ego.
It's
a mix.
You can
It's a
call it
mix,
whatever you
yeah.
want. We can call it whatever we want to
Yeah,
call it.
yeah, okay.
But at the end of the day, it's hard for me to just say, here's a number. Hey, you need
Yeah.
10,000.
Yeah.
I like to say it's an amount of your earnings. 3 to 6 months. I used to always say,
Okay,
have at
that's
least
a good answer.
Have at least 3
So-
months, 3 months of net earnings. But I tell you,
Okay.
Corona has made me tell people if you can afford to have 6 months worth,
Right.
do it.
So normal circumstances, you would say, just you're only suggesting 3 months of your
3
earnings.
months net.
But you're
It's
saying,
not advice, it's my opinion.
yeah, that's right. That's good, and it's a good opinion. But with what's happening around the world and the way things are looking, and whatever you want to call it, you would say up it to 6 to be safe,
Absolutely.
to be safer.
Well, look at the stimulus package. There. It's a 6. It was meant to be a
That's
6-month lockdown.
That's right. Here we go again.
No.
Anyway?
Let's hope not.
Nah, it's all
So
right.
they're, in my opinion, the main 3 things before you
So
start
budget,
worrying about.
home, emergency
people
fund.
come to me, oh, I already own investment property.
Yeah.
But I don't own a home. I don't know what's coming in and out. And I don't have any money saved up. My credit card's max. But guess what? Hey, mate, I've got an investment property.
But
Okay,
Tony-
but your investment property is worth $1 million and you own 999. What good's going and telling me I've got an investment property?
People get comfortable though, Tony. So people get very comfortable. They don't want the second, third job. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to roll my sleeves up and do all this other stuff because now I'm getting comfortable. I've got an investment property, and it's always too late when this happens. Emergency fund, this thing, that thing. People, you know, it's an easy street today. It's like, you know, I want to be an entrepreneur. Take a picture, put a thing on
Absolutely.
there.
Well, people come to me, you know, I own a business.
Yeah, I own a
That's
business.
fantastic. I'm glad you own a business. I've got a portfolio of property.
Yep.
But you know what? When you sit there and work at asset minus liability, what's their net worth?
Yeah,
It ain't much.
yeah.
It ain't much,
Yeah.
mate, for a lot of people. And you know what? Because they've neglected this.
Yes.
They want to say, look at me here.
Look at me, look at me.
Look at me.
yeah.
Avoid the fact that I don't have this.
It's sad.
I'm playing in the risky
Yeah,
area.
yes.
But that's it. It might not be. It's lack of financial education.
What else
All
you
right.
got? The punches are flying.
An up-to-date will. We're in a society these days where there's a lot of
Yep.
mixed marriages, second marriages, third marriages, kids from one, kids from another.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, it's not about big estate planning, but have an up-to-date will. Because at the end of the day, if something happens to you or your partner, what happens to your children? What happens to your assets that you've worked hard? Are you going to leave them for the next person that comes into the relationship and says, thank you very much, I'll just piggyback off your hard work? And the kids might be neglected?
Yeah.
That's just some examples I've seen over the years. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but it's important. Remember, it's about a structure.
Yeah. Do people panic to do a will? So when you ask them to do a will, because you know you got to say, oh, I'm giving Johnny 10%. He's getting the chairs, getting the table, and whatever. You know what I mean? Do
No,
people?
Absolutely not.
No, okay.
Because you know what I find, I'll tell you 99% of the time, they'll look at each other, it's like, we've been talking about it. We've been meaning to do it
Yeah,
for
okay,
years.
okay.
It is every time the same answer. We've been meaning to do it for years.
Yes. Fair call. Good.
It's on their to-do list.
Yeah.
It's on a lot of people's to-do list.
You know what they should have, Tony? A don't do list. You know that one?
Yes.
A don't do list. But anyway, go.
What's on your don't do list, Harry? What's number 1?
No swearing.
Good. Let's not swear.
We don't.
So then I want to play my other video.
What are you
then.
laughing at? Just laughing in the corner like that.
Andre, we've got the, can we write up here yet? All right.
You're itching to write. And
I am
do.
itching to write.
And don't forget, send in your questions, because obviously, Caroline, you're cooking over there. We know we've got some. But that's okay. And please, and we'll hit the questions very soon, because I don't want to
Remember,
derail
like I
you.
said, I started in the game of, hey, someone come to me, I want a loan for this. I would work on just this.
Yes.
Let me get you your loan for your home or your loan for your investment properties. But it's now about how do we build the right structure? It's not, can I sell you a will? I don't do wills. It's not, can I sell you retirement? I don't do retirement plans. But I've got to give information and educate people that you need all of this,
Yes.
so this is propped up properly.
That's brilliant. I've got 100%.
Okay? Retirement plan. All right, are we
You can write,
Good to
mate.
write?
You can write there. Stop screaming.
Top left hand is best.
There we go.
here we go?
Don't worry, it's coming.
It's coming, it's coming. All right. Look, retirement plan. Let's think about the word retirement plan. How do you think Australia's heading when it comes to retirement plans and what they're going to have as nest eggs?
Retirement? Disaster.
Why?
They've got none. They don't have a retirement plan. They'll be waiting.
A lot of people do.
Oh, okay. But
The main problem is, it's very simple. Everyone thinks that there's going to be things like the pension forever.
Yes.
But have a look at the pension.
Yep.
Would you say the pension is above or below the poverty line? Well below. Now, if
100%.
it's below the poverty line now,
Yeah.
what's it going to be like for the next generation? Will it even be
Will
there?
it be there? That's right.
Okay. What's going to happen to?
Go, just use the top left-hand side.
Oh, it's good to go. Oh, okay. So I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it, so I didn't make sure what I'm writing. Sorry, guys. So look, at the end of the day, what I always say to people: if this is your retirement point,
Yep.
Other side of the screen.
other side. Guys, technical glitch, stupidity on my end. All right. Let me put it to you simply: if this is your retirement point,
Yep.
and this is your working life, you've got X amount of dollars coming in.
Yep.
So you lead a certain lifestyle. You buy certain assets. At this point here, you're going to have X amount of dollars and investments and say to somebody, now you pay me an income for the rest of my life. And let's hope that's decades. Now, could you imagine what amount that has to be? Now that's going to be a combination of things like super, investments, maybe downsizing property, inheritances. But you know what I'm finding? That people will come and think about that when they're here and they've only got that small amount of space to deal with it. What's easier to do? $1 a week saved over 40 years or $4,000 a week over 4 years when it becomes unattainable?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because what I'm seeing is a cliff face for a lot of people, an absolute cliff face. Because people go from earning, say, a couple earning, say, your standard $65,000 a year, $130,000 combined.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden, and if they've got nothing
Yes.
heading towards retirement, then they get to that, and it's not a small drop-off. It is not a small drop-off. It's a cliff face.
Cliff face. Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you look at what the pension is,
Nah, it's not gonna.
it is survival,
Yeah.
and that's all it is.
You said something to me, and we're not going to obviously talk. And you didn't. You never said who it was, but you and I caught up again. Another plug for the European. We caught up the European because you were doing something, and you said to me you just met with a couple, elderly people,
Yes.
and you were talking to me about. And this was I couldn't believe you said this to me, and you were dead set. And you said to me, they're sharing homes now.
Yes.
I mean, this is sad state of affairs, mate. This isn't about.
House sharing for elderly is becoming, it's a growing trend. Because at the end of the day, if they can't afford it by themselves,
Yeah.
the rent, especially if it's rent, you know, I'll tell you, want to see what's even more alarming? The amount of people heading towards retirement and they're going to still have home loans.
Yeah.
Don't own their houses. You get to retirement, forget about putting food on the table.
How are
are you going to sustain the debt?
Yeah.
People in their 50s taking on 30-year mortgages. That's why we had the Royal Commission.
I saw
Where's
it,
the
yeah.
exit strategies?
There's none. Oh,
And the good thing is there's a lot of things being put in place now by government for things around responsible lending and so forth.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the fact that there is there's a large amount of the community heading towards retirement
Yes.
with debt.
Yep.
And no way other than sell the property, go rent.
Frightening.
And then what's happening is there's actual organisations out there now
Yes.
pairing them together where you might have 2, 3 couples, just like the young people these days.
Yeah, room share.
Room for let.
Come on, yeah.
When they're young and it's $100, $150 room to let.
Yeah.
Now it's the elderly.
How do you? Yeah.
But, Harry, how are they going to survive?
They can't,
At
yeah.
least that way they can share the overhead, share the bills, maybe share the food.
Yeah.
Because they can't do it by
Sad.
themselves.
It's sad.
Why?
But this is
because there was no
none of this.
planning
Yeah, but there's no.
from day one.
That's right. What have you
And
got?
it's very important. Last one. Lifestyle protection. And this is not when you do someone's lending, would you like fries with your loan?
Yeah.
There's 5 things that can affect,
Large. Yeah.
listen to me, there's 5 things that can affect someone's debt. Loss of job, you can't insure against it. Breakup of relationship, you can't insure against it. Death, injury, illness. We are an uninsured country. Very uninsured. And I don't sell insurance, so this is not a plug for an additional
No, we know that, yeah.
service. But I find it, for myself, very negligent that if I say to someone, hey, I'm going to help you potentially get into debt, or I'm going to act as your broker and get you a loan,
Yep.
and then 6 months later you're calling me, I've had this happen, this event happen in my life, and I didn't cover myself for it. And I said, and then I turned around and said, well, why didn't you have life insurance,
Major.
income protection?
Yeah.
And I said, well, you never told me. So I make
Yeah.
it a very big part now of telling people that it's
You do.
very, very important to have this. And I'll tell you what's led me to that, making it such a big issue. I'll tell you a story of a friend/client of mine, the old Italian Burley concreter,
Yep.
going on to his 4th property,
Yep.
kicking goals, working hard, beautiful young family. Went out there, organising the finance for his 4th investment property, doing very, very well. And I said to him, just in passing, as part of in conversation, hey, you know, your car's insured, your house insured. We're getting to that debt level where, you know, consider, nah, that's a bad omen, that's a jinx, having that, you're just asking for trouble. You know, he's superstitious. He goes, I don't need it. His terminology was, I've never been sick a day in my life.
Yeah.
I left it at that. Who am I to argue? I'm not going to push something like that on there. Can I tell you 6 to 8 months later, I got a phone call from the insurance. And he said, Tony, he goes, remember that income protection life insurance telling me about? I said, he goes, can I apply for that? And I said, bullshit. What's going on? Why? There's no way. He was that adamant. There was no chance of looking at it. I said, tell me what's going on. He goes, mate, I've just been diagnosed with MS.
Wow. Yeah. There you go.
There's your out of the blue event. Forget COVID.
You don't know what. Come on, mate.
Right, no, but understand something.
Yeah.
Now, I saw this poor guy get the aggressive version. And he went from being the big burly concreter to wheelchair bound
Sad.
and down to no houses, back to living with parents.
Yeah. Terrible.
Now, if he had had income protection, hey, his emotional burden wouldn't have become a financial burden.
Fair call.
Do I feel at all responsible? Sometimes I think I should have pushed
Yeah.
that more. So now I make it a big thing. I say to people,
Yeah.
consider this.
Because I think you're selling.
We insure our depreciating or reducing assets,
Yeah.
like our cars. We'll insure them to the hilt.
Yes.
To ensure our ability
Yes.
to continue to earn income, whether we're well, sick, or injured,
Yes.
we don't do.
Yep.
But can I tell you the biggest thing here? Budget.
Oh, without a doubt.
If you can get that right, your budget determines how much you should be spending on your
Yes.
home, how much you can afford to have in your emergency funds, to put towards your retirement plan,
Yep.
cover your insurances, and then all of that. It's the budget. Too many people
That's brilliant.
go in and they'll say, hey, I got 2.99 from my bank, you got 3.1, wow, look how good I am. At the end of the day, we are sold a marketing by banks and institutions on cheap and nasty interest rates.
Yes.
And I'll ask anybody out there, is having, 100 basis points, 0.1 or 0.2% or 1/4% going to change your life? Or is managing your money correctly, so you know that when you take on that debt, you know year in, year out what the balance is going to be, and you know that your 30-year mortgage, you've got goal setting that says by year 10, unless something happens, I will own this debt, or by year 10 or year 5, I will have X amount of equity in that property to be able to use that equity to invest and move forward.
You know, with the budget, Tony, I always say you need to set targets. You need goals. I always ask my client, I say to people, who do you want to be in 5 years? Who will you be in 5 years? How are you going to get there? Where's the fuel in the tank? Whatever. But the budget underpins everything.
Absolutely.
Right?
Even
Now,
in business.
Yeah, and I know we're out of time. We're over time, I should say, and we wanted to escape it. But it's such an important conversation that I would hate to cut it short, right? But budgeting, I mean, Australian Money Mentors.
Yes.
You're about to launch an app.
We are looking at an app for spending. The tracking. Spending.
Because that's what people need, tracking.
Tracking of
raw and real, I did this, I didn't do that, and whatever the case.
But something that's very simplistic. Because,
very easy to use.
It's like going on a diet.
What diet? What diet today?
It's like going on a diet where your trainer might turn around and say to you, write down everything you're eating. It'll last a week.
Correct.
If I said to somebody, grab a journal and start writing down everything, it's not going to happen.
No.
Technology these days is the key.
Yeah.
In business, we're lucky, a lot of accountants, zero. It's been a godsend.
Yes.
For a lot of business, because you can see.
That's true.
But in the personal world especially, you need the technology. We're all on our phones 24/7.
Yes.
We might as well have the technology be able to enter that information.
Yes.
And Eric, you know what? Everyone turns around and says to me, I don't have time to do this and do that. Can I leave everybody with one of the most important things I say to people, there is one of the. I'll ask you, what's the greatest commodity someone can have?
Time.
Absolutely, it's what you can't buy it. You can't buy it back.
turn it
You
back.
can't buy it forward.
What goes up and never comes
What are
down.
you going to do each day you get up? How are you going to make the most of your money, your life, and everything?
That's what we talk about. I'll talk about doing 3 days in one. You've heard me talk about that. It's not my method, but it's a method used from a lot of, whatever you want to call them, heavyweights, smart operators, and this and that, and I'll share this with people. 6 a.m. to midday is 1 day. Midday till 6 p.m. is a second day. And then 6 p.m. to midnight is your third day. If you play your cards right, you can do that. And also, if you're a business, how do you win in days? We don't all have the same time. You know how you exceed it? You have people. People equals more time.
So we all have the same,
but we all have
the same amount of time.
That's right.
Each day. It's what are you going
to do.
What are you going to do with the time allocated to
that you've
each
got
and every day?
Correct.
And some people, you are going to make 1 day into 3 days.
Yes, you've got to push and
But
shove.
at the end of the day, there's too many people sitting back saying, it's not working for me.
Yep.
They're going home early. They're knocking off from a construction site at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
and they're going home. I've got
Going to
a
the
builder
pub.
friend of mine, Vince, if you're listening. He tells me he cannot handle it when his apprentices, his employees, they're clocking off at 3 o'clock and he's staying there back till 5 o'clock.
Of course that.
And that's the difference between being the business owner
Yes.
and the guy that's going and clocking on that time.
That's the difference between a business owner and a leader. You've got to lead leaders. Now, there's a question I'll ask you, right?
By all
It's
means.
just a statement, and you can answer any way you like. I mean, somebody said to me, is it how much you have or how you made it?
Of course, it's how you made it. we all know that.
And you know what?
How much you have could have been inherited.
Correct. What about these questions? Who we got?
Have we got
John?
any, please?
We're good. I have a question.
Yes.
Please.
So I know a lot of our community are the up and comers. So we're meeting with our young guns this weekend, and we've got a lot of millennials, so sit in that kind of under 40 age range, who might still be living at home, who might still be, they're not at the point where they have the stress of a mortgage or whatever else. They might be still living at home. Once they focus on budget, what's the next foundation piece do you think that they should be looking at?
Look, it all depends on what their goals are. Some are they do they want to start a business? Do they want to start buying property? Do they want to go on a holiday? At the end of the day, you start with the budget. You just got to, when someone says to me, what do you do when you give someone a financial health check? I want to say, what do they know? What have they understood about the running of their business, the running of their household? It's all about having the knowledge. Knowledge is power. It's cliche.
Knowledge is power, I always say.
We've had plenty of cliches tonight.
I've got
Harry.
2 questions here.
But knowledge is power.
Backup question.
Please.
A backup question.
Parents of that generation, because we have the parents watching
Absolutely.
of those generations.
Absolutely.
What should they not be doing for their kids right now?
Why should they not? That's a really.
That's a good one.
That's a really.
That's
interesting
actually a low
question.
blow.
Come on.
I'm joking. That's
No,
a
no.
good question. That is a
Especially,
very...
like those traditional
Yep.
families who
Yes.
are still feeding them,
Yep.
who are still paying for their
Yep.
car, who are still doing
I
all
don't have that
Yeah.
big.
what do you
Press the button.
I don't have that big an listen. I
what should
don't have that big an issue with. Look, in certain communities, certain cultures, there are some cultures that they will pay for their kids
Stand
and
up a bit.
cotton wool them all of their lives. The most important thing I think a parent can do is not rely on other people to teach their children life skills. All right, if you're in business, take your child along. Let them listen to conversations. Talk to them about how your day was. Give them examples of what happened if they've seen what somebody did in a business. If you're a tradie and you saw this is what that homeowner did wrong and they're about to lose their property, tell them stories. Teach our children. Don't leave it up to
100%. Well,
our education system to teach them everything.
No, come on.
As parents, we're just as responsible, if not more, to pass on good
Yes.
life skills to our children. I say to my son, the best thing you can do when you turn 18, don't go get some buy a car. For me, my opinion from is go buy your first property. Because if you're going to be at home till you're 20, 21, you get a few years while you've got.
Get a head start.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
get that head start. But at the end of the day, for everybody it's different. There is no one recipe for the perfect cake.
Yeah.
There really isn't. So You know, at Australian Money Mentors, what we'll do is we'll sit down and it's individualised. We can sit there and look, there's a great book out there by Scott Pape, The Barefoot Investor.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah.
And it gives some great fundamentals. But at the end of the day, you read that book, but it's not going to be for everyone. You've got to individualise it to the person's mentality as well.
Yes.
Some people don't respond.
No.
You know, so some people
No.
like the tough love.
Yeah.
Some people need
They kill up.
Some people need encouragement.
Yeah. Oh,
Go, ask me.
I'm going to ask you. So I had a question here. It's been unbelievable. You know, a big shout out to the world's best chef, Mark, who's watching us from Thailand. Michelin star guy, legend. You know, Jonesy, a good mate of mine. Loving the energy. So the question that I had here from, and I'll tell you. Don't say my name. Lucky I read. Anyway, we know him.
Can we reverse it?
Look,
Or is this live?
it's live, mate. We're not playing games
What?
now. Live,
Go,
eh?
go.
So the question is, and because you're not, he's saying you're not answering, you're avoiding it. And you're not avoiding it. I think you just give me good advice. Sincerely, how much money do you need to? All right, I'm a 40-year-old.
Yep.
I'm a 40-year-old. I've had enough. I think I'm going to be okay. I've got a goal. I'm going to work for another 10 years. How much do I need to live forever, mate? That's it.
So you mean how much you need at your retirement?
How much do I need, mate? That's it.
I'm going to give you the same answer I gave you before.
Just give us
There is no-
what,
there
$10
isn't a
million?
number.
10 mil?
No, there isn't a number.
What, a
Because
million?
I would like to know,
Yeah.
what do you want? How much do you need year on year?
Yep.
What are you going to pay yourself? You're going to become
Yep.
from being paid by an employer
Yeah.
to be paid by yourself, whether it be through an annuity,
Yep.
through your own self-funded pension,
Yes.
whatever it's going to be. Your investments will now become your employer and pay you an income. At the end of the day, some people are okay to go from 100 grand a year,
Yep.
and I'm okay to be on 30 grand
Oh,
a year. I'm
got
going
it.
to look after
I
the
got it.
grand.
You're not answering
It's-
it.
I'm not
You're
answering
good.
it because
It's a good answer. And I agree with
it
you.
would be a fluff answer.
No,
it
I
would be
know.
a crap answer.
I reckon you need 10 million.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Straight away.
As I always say, that when someone throws an answer on something, I say,
Yeah.
why and justify the amount.
10 million, I think it just sounds good. It's a good number.
Yeah, it's round. It's got
It's
a
round,
zeros.
yeah. It will get you to lots of places.
Am I allowed to call bullshit on it?
You can't call bullshit. Front of the plane instead of the back of the plane. No, sir, bullshit's different. It's bullshit. So the other question, that's enough. I'm going to get off this one because you're going to start throwing punches. Is bigger better? Business question. Is going big better or not?
No, not necessarily. Absolutely. Can I tell you, I've seen a lot of businesses expand, increase overheads, bring on more staff,
Trainer.
but at
Okay.
the end of the day, their bottom line,
Yes.
if it doesn't sometimes shrink, it may improve slightly,
yep.
but tell you what does increase?
Yep.
The headaches.
The headaches.
The stress.
Beautiful.
The pressure.
Okay, so
So at the
bigger's
end of
not
the day,
always better.
It's all about, like I said, having the right team.
Yeah.
If you're going to go bigger,
Yes.
make sure you're talking to your accountant. Make sure you're talking to your advisors.
Great.
Have a good team around you.
Excellent.
Don't just start buying stock, buying machinery.
Yes.
It's ridiculous because you think you're going to make more money.
that's a
Yeah,
fair
you
thing.
may turn over more money,
Yes.
but are you going to have more money in the end?
Well, we always say it. Revenue, profit, ego, family.
Absolutely.
You mentioned something, Caroline. The question was about the Young Guns, and we're going to spoil it now. But Tony will be presenting at the Young Guns. So he's going to do a small segment with the Young Guns. He's going to talk tactics there. We can't wait to
I think
share
the
you
main
there.
thing with guys, the main thing with the young guns is just letting them understand the difference between good debt and bad debt.
Yes.
I mean, it is such a fundamental
Simple,
thing. that
but you
people
keep
would
it simple
think-
for 'em.
People would think they know what
Yes.
bad debt is, but it is marketed the same way cigarettes were marketed back in our day. They were on everything.
Did you smoke?
Myself, no.
Good answer. Neither did I.
Good.
Good.
But at the end of the now, the marketing and the brainwashing, it's okay. You don't have to have savings.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't have
yeah.
the money to buy it now.
It's the fast
You can
life.
get it now.
It's this. Yeah, that's right.
You can get it, and
That's
at
the
some
problem.
point they're going to wake up one day
Yeah.
and say, geez,
Disaster.
I'm over renting. I'd love to start a family.
And what about when they do?
And I'm in the negative.
Yeah. What about the unplanned? Bang, they have one. They cook one. It's big. Anyway, we've got a heap of stuff coming up. I think I had one more question here for you.
Shoot.
I've got to find them. I've got some funny comments and whatever, but there was, George. Have you got anything over there, Caroline, or is it just me? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think you've answered that. Should they buy a home or should they rent? They're hearing it.
You got someone.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You've answered it. It just came up there again. It came up again. So I'm
Sorry, buddy.
repeating
Sorry,
the question.
mate. I'm sorry.
Repeating the question, but just for...
Be your own babysitter.
Say it.
Be your own babysitter.
Be your own
Don't let
babysitter.
somebody
Love
else
it.
tell you what you...
It's a good
you
one.
asked before, do I go out there and expand, get bigger?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's something you can only answer.
Yes.
If you're willing to put in the hard yards and have the right people around you,
Yes.
absolutely.
In a business plan,
Yep.
financial, so people putting in a business plan for their business, what should they really focus on in terms of the financials? What should they be telling you?
Forecasting.
Forecasting.
At the end of the day, there's a terminology in accounting called three-way forecasting,
Yep.
where the forecasting, excuse me, sorry, I keep letting this switch off.
Yep.
You've got to be able to plan, if I had this cash injection, this is how my business would grow, and this
Yes.
is how my profit would increase. If I put on this additional staff member,
Yes.
this is how it would be. If I maneuver and bring on an additional product, this is what it will change in my business. And you've got to be able to
Would you have
put those
partners in
numbers
business?
Would I have? I mean, again, there's been some great partnerships. There've been some great partnerships
Yeah.
throughout the world, throughout Australia, throughout history, and there's been some horrific ones. I think the most important thing in partnership is having an understanding from day one of what
Yes.
each person wants out of the business and how it's going to affect their personal lives. Because when you get into business with the wrong person
Yes.
that doesn't have your drive,
It's a relationship, right?
absolutely,
it's
that doesn't have your
it's
drive. Can I tell you the amount of businesses that I've sat down with, and they'll complain to me, and they're fighting in front of me, and they're saying, "Well, you don't come in. You come in half a day. You leave Friday early."
Yeah.
I'm not. Why should I work harder
Yep.
so we can go 50-50?
Yes. It's very common.
I'm like, and I'm sitting and watching. I go, this is worse than the marriage that's about to implode.
Well, that's what happens in these people.
The problem is when you're in business, very hard to divorce.
Well, I hear it a lot. I mean, some of the stuff that I've been doing, and I've shared it with you, when I do the deep dives in businesses, and I see the partners, the wife or the husband, whatever you can call it, saying you're married to your work, you're married to your business.
You use the word. Sorry, Harry. I interrupted.
No, say it.
You use the word married. I say to people, it is a bigger commitment to go into with someone financially, whether it be
Correct.
a boyfriend and girlfriend buying a house, than it is to sign a piece of paper that says we're now married. You can rip that up. But when you own the property, you've got to split assets.
Well, I was going to ask
then
you.
You've got to fight about who put more in,
Yeah.
who spent more. It's no different in business.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a bigger commitment to go into partnership in life and in business. So it's got to be with the right person. It's got to have the same values, and more importantly, it's got to document it from day one. Don't go in on
Document it, align it.
I grew up with this person.
Yeah.
I know that it never do the wrong
do that to
thing
me.
behind me.
Blah blah blah.
Never do the wrong thing.
Well, Tony, the thing that we couldn't play in the video that we wanted to play a video, but it goes against what I believe in, and I'm allowed to use the acronym.
You can.
Okay, and that's
There's-
please.
If anyone, there's a good summary of what we've spoken about today. There's a movie called The Gambler with who's in it?
The Gambler.
The Gambler. John Goodman and
John Goodman and
Mark Wahlberg.
Correct. Wahlberg.
Google on YouTube The Gambler, the FU position. It goes for about a minute.
Yeah.
And have a listen to how John Goodman explains what the FU position is.
Why don't you explain it without FUing?
Okay. It's a position where if you've got your foundations, what we've been talking about here,
Yep.
you know what's coming in, you own your home, you've got some money in the bank,
Yes.
your boss pisses you off,
Yes. FU.
F you. Someone tells you to do something you don't want to do, F you. You control, you can be in a position where you don't have to cower, you don't have to say,
Yeah.
I'm not standing up to my boss who's becoming a bully because I need
You don't need to be the slave.
this job.
You don't have to do
You've got to
that.
want the job. You've got to be
Yeah.
happy every day.
Yep.
If you're in a job only because you need that job,
Yep.
then you're in trouble because you're not going to be happy.
So the FU position.
FU position, the gambler. Look it up.
Well, Tony, it's been incredible.
Thank you, Harry.
You've shared. You've been honest. It's been straight. Straight and.
You know what can I say? What can we say about Harry? No, I'm being serious. All credit to you. When I first started watching your videos, I was is it a bit corny? No, and then I realised that some of the mornings, especially there was one I told you that resonated with me, there was a morning where I actually was just feeling absolutely down. Don't know why, can't answer why. And it was, I didn't want to get out of bed that day.
Yeah.
I'm not, and it's like, I played your video and it was like, your first word, get up. It's time to get out of bed. Get on with your day.
Yeah.
And it was, is the word inspiring good?
Yeah.
It was inspiring. And
It's
that's what I find
humbling.
with
Thank you.
everyone, with anyone that's getting on board with the Life Worldwide movement. It is a very good movement. It is about being a good human being. I know that sounds very cliched and corny, being a good human being. But you know what? If we don't become good humans and a good community and everybody helping each other,
Correct.
then society will fall apart.
No,
If everybody's
100%.
out there just for themselves,
Yep.
chasing paper.
Paper. That's right.
Stop chasing paper,
Only chase
start
paper.
creating wealth. And wealth doesn't just mean your bank balance, it's about happiness.
Yeah.
Be happy that you've got a home.
Yeah.
Be happy when you walk in there. Be happy with your partner. Be happy with your job.
Yes.
Be happy.
Yeah. No, I love it.
That's wealth. That's the real wealth.
That's 100%.
And that's the real financial freedom.
It's a financial freedom. Thank you, Tony, for your kind words. I'll tell you, I always say chase memories, not money, you know. Create memories, keep pushing, live your life. We're so pumped. This for us, because money is freedom. It does so much. It keeps people together. It does a million things, and we can't thank you enough for doing what you're doing.
Thank you, guys.
We've got you on the team, so people can look you up on our website. We've got all these events coming up. July is just crazy, correct, Caroline?
We've got available. Anyone that needs their
Yeah.
financial health check,
Oh, they're going to get it.
contact Harry.
Non-negotiable. So
We'll sit down with you,
100%.
have a cup of coffee.
Absolutely. Yes, we'll have that. So we've got Young Guns on Sunday. Then we've got our Lunch and Learn the following Wednesday. Millionaires. You don't know this one? Millionaire Millennials. Millionaire Millennials. I had to rethink it. That's sold out too. So they've all been sold out, which is unbelievable.
Congratulations, Harry.
No, thank you. And you know what? Thank you to the community for believing in us and you know, coming in to get the medicine, get the vitamins that everybody needs. And I'll tell you what, we learn at every event. We learn what to do, how to do things. And always say this, success leaves clues. Get up, have a go, have a crack. Just, you know, don't sit in misery, you know. And that's one of my big things.
Turn the page and don't read a book
Turn
backwards.
the page, exactly right. So have a beautiful evening. Thank you for being part of all this. We can't wait to share more. Thanks, Caroline. Peter, Parthamos, thank you once again for being an incredible human and giving us this, yes, exactly, this amazing studio. So have a blessed night, have an incredible week ahead, although we're midweek, and we can't wait to share next time with you. Subscribe,
everyone.
Life Worldwide. Take care. Opa.